Hey everybody, I'm David, and today I wanted to celebrate the birth of Superman by doing a video about some of my favorite portrayals. This is no specific order because I'm going to admit this, I haven't seen every incarnation of Superman. So I am going to talk about my favorite portrayals, which have been a lot of them. I've seen a lot, just not all of them. Let's start off with George Reeves. Because I have seen a little bit of him in a film, an older film called Superman and the Mole Men. It was a movie that they did kind of like their pilot episode for the Adventures of Superman that they did in the 1950s. I can't say too much about him, whether I like him or not as Superman, but from what I did see, I guess I see the appeal to him because he had that classical superhero element, like he was all perfect in every single way. So I get the appeal of him. And George Reeves, he was a good actor, a really good actor for his time. I know he was in like Gone with the Wind. He had a short role in that movie, but I haven't seen really enough of his take on Superman. But from what I heard, a lot of people that grew up with that show really enjoyed him. Obviously, the one that will stick out the most to most people, including myself, is Christopher Reeve as Superman. Not to get confused with George Reeves. Christopher Reeve also has that classic appeal to him. But we see some of those cracks in him as well. Like we see with his love triangle with Lois Lane, literally a love triangle, because Lois loves Superman. Superman usually is Clark Kent and wants Lois to notice her as Clark Kent. So there's like a little love triangle there. It's interesting. And you gotta love the way Christopher Reeve plays it, because he does play it really good both ways as Clark Kent and Superman. He's very convincing, I think, playing two different characters. Yes, you can still tell it's him, but at the time that this movie was made, and you can kind of see, okay, I can let this, I can see how she would not notice that it was him. But there were times in both Superman 1 and 2 where she did realize, for the story obviously, where she started figuring it out, like, maybe Clark and Superman are the same person. I did love his portrayals in these movies, and obviously as Superman 3 and 4 went on, the movies got worse, but Christopher Reeve was still one of the highlights of those last two movies, specifically Superman 4, which was a disaster. I think Christopher Reeve still delivers as Superman in that film. Another actor that a lot of people might know is Dean Cain as Superman, who played Superman in Lois and Clark from 1993 to 1997, The New Adventures of Superman, with Terry Hatcher as Lois Lane. And I wasn't a huge fan of this incarnation of Superman, but I did like the way Dean Cain played the role. He did play Superman really well, and his chemistry with Terry Hatcher as Lois was also really perfect together. They definitely had that chemistry there. Another incarnation of Superman, I think a lot of people would, bother me if I didn't talk about it, is Superman the Animated Series, followed up by Justice League. Tim Daly played the role of Superman in Superman the Animated Series, and then George Newbern took over the voice acting, the role in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. Both of them have returned in some of the direct-to-videos. And I'm going to say, Tim Daly, I think I lean more towards him when playing Superman, because he just had that more natural fit. I think George Newbern is great too, and I think he gelled well with the Justice League cast. When they did that direct-to-video Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, I got all the feels hearing Tim Daly doing that voice again. And you can hear that he even matured more as an actor, that he took his vocal performance to the next level. And even when he returned in Justice League Doom, that direct-to-video, that was a great direct-to-video where they brought back some of the voice talents from Justice League, including Susan Eisenberg, who was also in Batman, Superman, Public Enemies, and Michael Rosenbaum and Carl Lumbly returned as the Flash and Martian Manhunter. I think Tim Daly really gelled well, even better, I think, than George Newbern. That's not to take away from George Newbern, too, because I really did enjoy his comeback in Superman versus the Elite, another direct-to-video that they did. As well as that Superman Shazam movie, like The Revenge of Black Adam or something like that. It wasn't a movie, it was a DVD they released with all the short films that they've done, plus a 20-minute special of Superman and Shazam teaming up fighting Black Adam. Check it out if you haven't. It was a really good animated direct-to-video. Another live-action portrayal I think doesn't get enough love is Brendan Routh in Superman Returns. Superman Returns to me is an underrated film. I love that movie. Yeah, okay, maybe it's not as great as a lot of other superhero movies. I did have it in my top 10 at one point until more and more better superhero movies were starting to come out. And I did meet Brendan Routh, and Brendan Routh is a really cool guy. If you guys haven't met him, if you get that chance at a convention to meet him, go meet him. The dude is super cool, and I'm so glad he's on Legends of Tomorrow playing the Atom, Ray Palmer, because I think he's fantastic at that. I think he's fantastic in everything he does. I watched Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He has a small part in that one, and his role is great. He's so hilarious in that. He definitely has some comedic chops, which is what I'm glad Legends showcases a little bit more of his comedic side. But he plays that dramatic side as well. Not as dramatic as Superman Returns, where he's definitely trying to emulate what Christopher Reeve has, but I did feel he brought something a little bit different. He was a more softer Superman. Like, he wasn't as talkative, but you could see his performance in his face, and I think Brendan Routh actually emulated that really well with a movie that didn't really give him a lot of lines to work with. So I think people should go back to Superman Returns and really watch his performance. I remember there were a lot of people like myself defending that, saying that the movie, look, whatever people thought of the movie, Brendan Routh wasn't the problem. But there were some people that wanted to, bring down Brendan Routh along with Superman Returns. But you know what? I'm happy Brendan has mentioned that he's never got any hate personally. So it seems like people that do go meet him are the ones that really do like the movie, or they're just really respectful. But like I said, I think it's an underrated performance as well as an underrated film. And I think if people go back and watch it, because it does fit nicely with the original Christopher Reeve movies, because it was a soft reboot in that sense. It followed the first two Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, but ignored the last two, which was a very smart decision. Next, let's talk about Tom Welling. I loved Smallville. Smallville took 10 years of my life. It started when I was in my last year of high school, and it ended when Harry Potter ended. Actually, it's funny because Harry Potter, the films, the film franchise, started the exact same year Smallville started and ended the same time Smallville ended. So both of those things were going on side by side with one another. And Smallville was a great show. I love seeing Tom Welling grow into that character throughout those 10 years. Smallville was a big time in my life. There was a time where I was going through a breakup, and Smallville helped me get through it at times, I felt. And I don't think it's just because of the relationship aspect, but because Smallville had such great characters. Like, it wasn't just Clark Kent. Lex Luthor was such a great character as well as story arc with his father. And then you got the Kents, which was a great family aspect. Lana was great in the beginning, but then became annoying. But thankfully, Lois was introduced in season 4. And as soon as Lois was there, that's when I became a Lois and Clark shipper right away. Chloe was a great character too. I actually liked her a little bit more when she found out Clark's secret. That's when I thought Chloe became a better character. I know a lot of people liked her in the beginning. I liked her better when she started assisting Clark rather than being a thorn in his side. there were a lot of great characters. And then when they started introducing like the other heroes, the other DC heroes aspects, starting with Impulse and then going with Aquaman and Cyborg and then Green Arrow and then forming the Justice League, and they had all those other DC heroes and eventually villains as well coming in. Brainiac, played by James Marsters, was great. Tom Welling, by the end of the series, you can see he's mastered this role, and he should always be remembered for that. I know he's on Lucifer now, but I really want him to embrace his superhero past and just accept that, hey man, you played this iconic character that's going to go throughout history. You're always going to be remembered as this iconic character. Like, your legacy is going to go surpass your lifetime. Like, people are going to go back, just like how I remember, I never even watched The Adventures of Superman, but I know George Reeves. He played Superman. I know Christopher Reeve. He passed away too. And he'll always be remembered as Superman. You're going to be part of that legacy, and that's an honor. If I got the chance to play Superman, man, I'd put on the red underwear, proud and all that, and be like, yeah, I'm Superman, bitches. Bow down to my awesomeness. I just wrote this on Twitter. It's cool to be Batman. The idea of being Batman is cool because he's all badass and shit. But I think we should all strive to be like Superman because he is the all-American valued. And I'm Canadian, but I really like what Superman stands for, and that's why he's one of my all-time favorite superheroes, along with Batman. Another actor we should all talk about is Tyler Hoechlin, who played Superman on Supergirl. I think he is an actor. You know, he was someone that I was already brushing aside. I was like, I don't want this guy playing Superman. Why don't they just get Tom Welling back, put him back in the suit, let Tom Welling fly? He cheated us in the finale, which I'm still a little burned by, but whatever, I let it go now. Tyler Hoechlin, I think, surprised me a lot. I really think he was great on Supergirl. He only had 3 appearances so far. I'm still hoping they bring him back. I know Superman is back alive in the movies, but like, bring him back on Supergirl too. Let's have 2 Supermans flying around, one on TV, one in the movies. I wanted to see Superman interacting with Green Arrow and the Flash and the rest of the DC Arrowverse characters. Why not? Get a different interpretation on Gotham too. That would be amazing. Look, Tyler Hoechlin, you're a great Superman, and I'm sorry for dissing you before. You won me over on your 3 episode appearances that were some of the best of Supergirl so far. Finally, we got to talk about Henry Cavill, who made his appearance in Man of Steel, one of my all-time favorite movies right now. I think that movie is underrated like hell. I think he was great in Batman v Superman. I like Batman v Superman. A lot of people didn't. I disagree with people. And Justice League, for what little time he had in that movie, I thought he was great. He started becoming the Superman, the modern Superman that I think we all wanted. We just didn't get enough of him, and I think he was underused in that movie. I can't wait to see him in Mission Impossible 6 because Henry Cavill is a terrific actor. He was amazing in Man from U.N.C.L.E. And, you know, we need another Man of Steel sequel. We need a Man of Steel sequel because we need Henry Cavill to go up against Brainiac. We need him to go up against all the other villains from Superman's lore. So come on, DC, give us that movie. Henry Cavill deserves it. Give us the Superman movie we always want. Get the writers of the Captain America movies, because seriously, Captain America is pretty much the same character as Superman. He's a Boy Scout. Just give him a badass movie like Captain America got with Winter Soldier and Civil War. Do that with Superman. Come on, what are you waiting for? A fun, cool, badass film for the Man of Steel himself. With that being said, guys, leave down your comment belows. You know what I mean? And tell me who your favorite Superman portrayals are. Animation, live action, doesn't matter to me. And like this video, especially if you're a huge fan of Superman. It is the 80th birthday of Superman. He has been around for 80 years. Holy shit. Mickey Mouse is going to be 100 soon, so get ready for that. 10 more years, Mickey Mouse will be 100 years old. And then Batman's going to be 80 next year. So I might have to do something similar to this with Batman. And subscribe to my channel, especially if you are a huge fan of Marvel and DC. And until next time, take care.